Well, I'm sure you read the thumbnail by now. Halloween is getting its own Unreal Engine 5 game with John Carpenter, quote-unquote, intimately involved. Just to sound like a broken record here, it's stated that Boss Team Games, who are known for their previous entries such as the Evil Dead game, will now be behind the up-and-coming Halloween games. We're getting 2 of them, and we don't know anything much else about them right now, other than one's a single-player experience and the other is the typical asym style game. John Carpenter's involvement is pretty unknown. We don't know if he'll be a game director or just a composer. We don't even know which of these games he'll direct. Probably the single-player one, but to be fair, this game is still likely in the development stages of its actual development, and I'm sure many horror fan enthusiasts around the world are finally gonna be happy that we're finally gonna get a proper Halloween game after 41 years? It's been 41 years since our last Halloween game? Oh, our last and only Halloween game, apparently. That's actually kind of crazy. Alright, so now I bet you're all wondering what part I'm gonna get all negative about this, and... Well, okay, just to be clear, I'm not saying that the games are going to be bad. In fact, I think they're gonna be well done and probably even amazing. I haven't played Evil Dead, but I've heard great things about it, and I saw a Markiplier Let's Play of it once, I think. As for John Carpenter directing, I do have a lot of faith in the man, and I mean, he's an actual gamer, and he's stated in the past that he's a huge Sonic fan, so he's obviously cultured and understands what makes gaming great. So I do have a lot of hope for these games, and I'm also extremely excited for them as a huge Halloween fan. Even though I know we probably aren't gonna hear much about him until like the very next year, if we're being honest. But back to the topic at hand. My only real doubt is about the asymmetrical style game, really. And you guys could probably already put the clues together. I mean, we are pattern recognizing animals after all. And my concern about the game is that it's going to come out, it's going to be really fun for like about a month, and then people will just stop talking about it, and it's eventually just going to die slowly. Now, for people who are new to the topic and likely the channel, first of all, welcome to the channel and welcome to the community. If you like what you see, hit that like button, leave a comment, maybe even subscribe if you're so inclined, with a little pretty bell on top. But to catch you up to speed, there are not that many horror-style asym games out there in the market that typically stay thriving past 2 years. Now there's obviously Dead by Daylight, which recently went through its 8th anniversary, and despite what many people may tell you, is thriving, and will likely still thrive for an even longer time thanks to future collaboration FNAF. I'd say the closest game that has come to keeping up with Dead by Daylight was Friday the 13th, the game, and even before the lawsuit which shot down any chances of that game's survival, it was still falling behind Dead by Daylight due to a lot of other multiple factors, mainly just fatigue, I guess. People will get tired of playing these games because it's just the same mundane tasks over and over again. Ironically though, Dead by Daylight might just be the most mundane out of these games. Its gameplay is just so simplistic, yet unintentionally, it's also extremely skilled based. It's one of those games where you could kind of tell you can get better, but you really need to live within this game if you want to see any progress. Alright, enough glazing Dead by Daylight, however. What's so different about it over all these other asym games? Dead by Daylight is just a special case. It feels like a hybrid between being original and at the same time it's just a melting pot of all these different other IPs. Dead by Daylight on its own without the, licensed IPs is a pretty basic ass game. And that's not to say that I don't like what original things it has to offer. Despite me being a Ghostface main, I actually do like a lot of the original characters, the killers and survivors, as well as the lore behind Dead by Daylight. Gameplay-wise, however, it's a really difficult game to get into. And I'm saying it from experience myself. I literally only got into the game because my friend kept begging me so hard until it just eventually clicked with me. On its own, you guys already know that the game would never hit the numbers it does without the licensed IPs. Who knows where the game would be now had it never done license. And ironically enough, the one license that cemented Dead by Daylight as the horror asim game, as well as its first licensed DLC, was none other than Halloween. This DLC probably changed the outcome of this game's direction in the best possible way. I truly believe that without the Halloween IP, this game would have never gotten the push it needed to be as great as it is today. Debatably. So with that being said, how would the Halloween asim game not thrive if I just argued right now that Dead by Daylight owes a lot of its success due to Halloween? Well, again, this is just my opinion, and I really hope that I get proven wrong. But as we've seen time before, it's really hard for these single IPs to keep the interest of the general public. Halloween is an extremely popular IP, but it's still just one IP. And the thing about a lot of these asim games, which is especially true for Dead by Daylight, is that once you experience it a couple times, you've practically seen everything there is to offer. It loses its edge, its fear factor. You know what to expect after like maybe the 20th round. Michael Myers is really the only notable killer in the Halloween franchise. Sure, there are different interpretations and costumes, but they're all just a different version of a guy with a mask and a knife at the end of the day, who also kind of walks really fast. Even the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game had an edge over the Friday the 13th game with its multiple killers and killer multiplayer concept. What could they do with Michael Myers, and how would they keep this asim game thriving for at least 3 years? Those are just really my concerns, but either way, I'm still excited for these new entries and I wish them well. I really hope that they do prove me wrong and that we end up with 2 amazing Halloween games. Let me know your guys' thoughts about the new Halloween game, and I'll make sure to see you around next time then. Yeah, that's all I had to say really. Riveting stuff, yeah, I know. Okay, so while I was working on this video, oh, by the way, completely unscripted moment here, but the trailer for the single-player Michael Myers game came out, and it's not at all what I expected. It's a retro beat-em-up game, and that's not to say I'm disappointed or anything. I absolutely love the style of this game, and it looks really fun, as you can see from the gameplay here. I'm still going to keep an eye out for that asim game, but you should definitely not skip out on this. It looks really fun.